There comes a time in every fragrance lover's journey where you come across a fragrance that's absolutely wonderful that you really resonate with, and then it gets discontinued, reformulated, what have you. And whenever that happens, there are a few courses of action you can take. You can either treasure what you already have, you can go out and buy the fragrance, be it on eBay, wherever, or you can just be miserable. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you about 10 fragrances that have been discontinued that I absolutely love. Some of these perfumes are still kind of easy to get if you look on the discount websites. Some of them are very difficult to get, but all of these are very interesting and beautiful perfumes that I personally love, and I keep them separate from the rest of my collection. I keep them in their boxes because I really do want to keep them nice and safe, but these are perfumes that I just absolutely love. Usually I don't like to talk about discontinued fragrances because I want you to be able to access them, but in today's video I figured, why not? Let's go down memory lane and talk about the fragrances that I really love that got discontinued. If this is your first time on this channel, hello, my name is Anya. I absolutely love fragrances and I talk about them here every single weekday, Monday through Friday, and I also do videos on TikTok and content on Instagram as well if you're interested in checking me out on those social media platforms. So first up is a fragrance that I absolutely am so disappointed that this got discontinued, because this is truly one of the more unique fragrances out there, and this was one of the best designer perfumes, I think, and I think it still is. It's Aura by Mugler. Mugler used to be an independent house. They were since bought by L'Oreal, and ever since they were acquired by L'Oreal, the conglomerate, they have been coming out with releases that are way more, how do I say, people-pleasing. They're not as unique as they once were as a fragrance house. And yeah, discontinuing Aura is definitely a representation of that. Aura is one of the more unique fragrances you will find on the market. I mean, now you can barely find it, but this is a woody vanilla green perfume, and it's so unique and so different. It's absolutely stunning. So let me pull up the notes. But yeah, it's been discontinued, unfortunately. They didn't make a big announcement or anything, but it got quietly discontinued. And this perfume has top notes of rhubarb leaf and bergamot, a mid of green notes, orange blossom, ylang-ylang, and pear, and then a base of bourbon, vanilla, woody notes, amberwood, sandalwood, and coumarin. This perfume is such a beautiful fragrance, especially when it comes to tropical climates. It projects beautifully in humidity, and it's one of those perfumes that's very unique. Like, there's nothing that I've smelled that smells similar to this, and it takes a certain person to pull this off, and it's definitely not one of those fragrances that you can walk in and just expect anyone to like it, and I think that's why it got discontinued, because it was a little bit too unique. But if this fragrance was rebottled in a niche bottle, it would absolutely fit right in, because it's a very interesting and unique fragrance, and I absolutely love the bottle as well. The juice in my bottle has darkened over time, so I've had this for quite some time. I think I bought this at Fragrance Net originally, and I guess if you do a little bit of hunting, you still might be able to find it. At the very least, you can get a decant. But I love this perfume. I think it's an absolute tragedy that it got discontinued, and I think it's amazing. If you can still get your hands on it, I definitely recommend you do that. But yeah, there's something that's medicinal and sweet about it. It's, like I said, a very unique perfume. There's nothing quite like it, and I think it's gorgeous. And I'm sad it got discontinued, but I still wear it time and time again, but I feel like once I get to the halfway mark in my bottle, I would actually be really concerned. But for now, I still wear it every now and then. I think, like I said, it does very well in tropical, humid climates. So if you're going on vacation, you might want to get a decant of this one. So this next one is a fragrance that's been around for a really long time. I still talk about it because it's still relatively easy to get, even though the price does fluctuate a lot. This is Casmir by Chopard. So this is a vanilla, powdery, fruity perfume with top notes of peach, coconut, mango, bergamot, and fruits, a mid of geranium, jasmine, floral notes, and lily of the valley, and then a base of vanilla, amber, sandalwood, musk, patchouli, and woodsy notes. So this perfume, in my opinion, smells like an apricot tart. When you see those fruity, coconutty notes, don't think of them in the modern interpretation. Think of a vintage perfume with these notes and you'll get Casmir. It's such an interesting perfume. It's a very comforting fragrance to me, and I absolutely love it. I think it's quite unique and interesting, and I truly adore it. I think it's great if your tastes lean similar to mine, if you're interested in like kind of like a vintage leaning scent profile, you might appreciate this. I personally think it's a very comforting scent. I have some scent memories associated with this because for a time whenever I was sick or whenever I was in a stressful situation, I'd instantly gravitate towards this perfume. Like for instance, I wore this when I had to get my car towed once, which is kind of funny, but I love this perfume and I think it's gorgeous. Next is another interesting perfume. This one is way more animalic and has a lot of aldehydes. It's Marusia by Slava Zaitsev. This is a fragrance that is not for the faint of heart. Let me pull up the notes so you know what I mean. But this is a perfume that is quite animalic. It is animalic, it has civet, it has aldehydes. It's a floral woody perfume, again very powdery. It's a very nostalgic perfume because it kind of reminds me of my childhood, but this has top notes of aldehydes, orange blossom, peach, and bergamot, a mid of carnation, ylang ylang, tuberose, heliotrope, iris, jasmine, rose, orchid, and lily of the valley, and then a base of civet, sandalwood, amber, benzoin, vanilla, musk, tonka bean, and cedar. So again, this perfume is very focused on the woodsy, powdery notes. It's quite animalic, but it's more airy than animalic in my opinion. And it is focused on those like floral notes. There's a lot of ylang ylang in here as well. So I like this perfume a lot. I'm not too stressed out about it because it's not a fragrance that I wear super often. So I'm fine with just having this bottle. It's again, yeah, like I said, not a perfume that I wear super often. So I'm fine with this the way it is, and I believe you can get it on Amazon for like $15, which is super affordable. And yeah, I like it a lot. It is discontinued, but I'm not like super upset about it because it's still relatively easy to get. And I feel like if I had to compare, I mean, I love both of these fragrances, but Aura I'm more upset about because, I mean, I like it more. But Marusia is one that I kind of like go to every now and then, so I'm probably not going to use this up, which is fine. But yeah, this is one that's discontinued, which is why it's in the video. So this next one, I am actually quite upset about it being discontinued because in my opinion, this was the best in the entire line. I'm talking about Narciso by Narciso Rodriguez. Not Narciso Poudre, not any of, like, not the red one, not the orange one, the Narciso, the good plain Narciso by Narciso Rodriguez. This has been discontinued. I do have a large bottle because I got wind of it being discontinued at a really good time. So this is what happened. I went to the Narciso perfume counter. I believe it was at like Saks or something, or Bergdorf, something like that. I went to the Narciso counter and I was like, you know what, I want to smell all the Narcisos you have and I want to potentially buy one. So I smelled this one and I instantly fell in love with it. And I was asking the sales associate, hey, I want to buy this perfume, do you have it? And she couldn't find it. And she even looked, like she was looking on her device and she was looking in other locations, couldn't find it. And I'm starting to think it might have been discontinued. And I asked her, has it been discontinued? And I can't remember what she said, but essentially I found out that it had been discontinued. I saw on FragranceNet a bottle for like around $100, which is pretty reasonable. I bought it straight away, and now I think it's still quite difficult to get. So let me look it up because I actually haven't worn this in a really long time because this is one of those perfumes that I genuinely do treasure because it genuinely is difficult to get. So yeah, this perfume, because like, by the way, like every single time you see like a Narciso perfume like on the discounters, like it's most likely going to be Narciso Poudre, which is different. This is not the same thing as Narciso Poudre. So this perfume was released in 2014, and it's a woody white floral musk perfume with top notes of gardenia, white rose, a mid of musk, and then a base of white cedar extract, cedar, and vetiver. This perfume is a musk powerhouse. This is an animalic white musk with those white florals. This is like, I would say this is a sexy perfume, and I don't say that often, but this is a sexy perfume because of the white musk. There's something about this musk that is completely unique and different. It's a very sensual fragrance because of the musk in here, and there are not many musks that smell like this. This smells like a lady, but like it smells like a lady with an edge, if you know what I mean. Like this is innocence with a twist. This is sensuality in a bottle. And not a lot of perfumes capture that like this one does. I remember when I was first getting into fragrances, it was this and Pure Poison by Dior. Pure Poison, thank goodness, is still here, and it looks like it's not going anywhere for now. Oh my gosh, knock on wood. If that perfume went somewhere, if that perfume got discontinued, I'd be very upset. But this is like a fragrance that to me, like it was this perfume and Pure Poison, my top 2 musks of all time. This one got discontinued. Again, I don't know why. I sprayed it 2 sprays on my arm just now, right? I can smell it and it's going to stay on my arm for like hours and hours. It's a very potent perfume. So yeah, it's not a good kind of situation where I'd buy multiples of this because I think like this is a lot and I've barely used this. I have enough in here to last me my entire lifetime if I so choose. Like I don't wear this perfume constantly. Like I just have this, and whenever I do want to wear, like I absolutely can. I'd probably like, I don't know, would this be a good wedding fragrance? I don't even have a boyfriend. Why am I trying to get married all of a sudden? Okay, anyway, this is an animalic musk and it's absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, and I cannot believe they got rid of it. It was like the most interesting one out of the entire line because Narciso Rodriguez, they do musks in a very interesting way, but this is like the most interesting musk they had, and now they've discontinued it, and I'm like, what? Why did you do that? Why did you discontinue the best one? This is the best Narciso, in my opinion, and it got discontinued. Why? I don't know. So this is what I'm actually pissed about. There you go. Next up is another Mugler. You know, like I would talk about Mugler more often, but they just keep discontinuing their stuff. And this, oh my gosh, I love this perfume so much. Okay, not gonna lie, part of me wishes I got into fragrances earlier in my life because when Mugler had their really interesting perfumes, like their really interesting avant-garde fragrances, I wasn't into fragrances. So I didn't even know to buy them. But had I known, I would have like, had I been into fragrances at the time, I feel like Mugler would have been my fragrance brand that I was like going for all the time because they had some bangers and now like they're completely different. So this happens to be Alien Fusion. It's essentially like the lighter, more slightly spicier version of Alien by Mugler. This basically was one of their flankers for Alien, and it's like the bright red one. I'm again very happy to have the large size. I remember I worked at Ulta at one point, and I think they were cleaning out the back room, and I saw that they were selling this for like, they had this on sale, and I think I got it for like $30. Total steal, very lucky to have it. But this perfume is essentially a fragrance with top notes of ginger and cinnamon, a mid of orange blossom and tuberose, and then a base of white amber and vanilla. I like the fact that the orange blossom in this fragrance is so dominant because yes, there is a little bit of cinnamon here, but to be honest, I barely smell it. This is like your warm weather, summery version of Alien. It's so delicious, it's so good, and I don't know why they discontinued it because it's so fun. And let me see, like, where is it? You can get it on Mercari. Yeah. Yeah, it's still available on Mercari, but that's pretty much the only place you can find it besides Walmart. So yeah, this is kind of difficult to get. If I had to say, am I more upset about Aura being discontinued or Alien Fusion? I kind of have to say I'd probably still be more upset about Aura because Aura was truly one of its kind. It's super unique, but both of these are so good and I don't know why they got discontinued. So again, I love Mugler, I just don't love what they're coming out with lately. I like these so much, and they're so unique and so interesting. It's kind of interesting because like when I think of like the designers that I like so many discontinued designers. So that's kind of like sometimes I don't really want to talk about designers too much because I'm like my top favorite designers have been discontinued and it makes no sense. Like these, Casmir, Narciso, like, and I have another one. Let me talk about my next designer that has been discontinued that I absolutely love. But I just checked and I realized that my microphone stopped recording at one point, so I'm going to refilm a portion of this video from here on out. So I believe it cut out when I was talking about this fragrance right here, and this is Fifth Avenue Royale by Elizabeth Arden. And I'm not talking about Fifth Avenue or any one of the other fragrances. I'm talking specifically about Fifth Avenue Royale. This fragrance is pretty much impossible to find unless you're looking at the secondhand market, and that's really unfortunate because I didn't know this when I was buying this particular fragrance. I thought it was a permanent release. I didn't think about it potentially being discontinued. And let me pull up the notes because this is a really interesting and surprisingly approachable perfume, and I'm genuinely sad that it's discontinued. But this was launched in 2017. It's a woody leather patchouli fragrance. Sounds scary, right? It's really not. Let me get into the notes. So we have top notes of liquor, raspberry, and orange blossom, as well as some bergamot, a mid of patchouli, olibanum, cedar, and cypriol oil, and then a base of suede, amberwood, labdanum, and musk. Something about the suede, labdanum, patchouli, and raspberry in here just plays so well. And this is a perfume that when I think of it embodying what velvet would smell like if it was a fragrance. This is that perfume. It's so beautiful. And if this fragrance wasn't discontinued, I would genuinely recommend it as like a very approachable and very versatile fragrance to wear to the office, to wear to the night out. It's genuinely lovely and it's actually not that much of a heavy hitter. It's a lighter fragrance, and that explains why I've made a little bit of a dent in it. I'm pretty much up to here. But yeah, genuinely, I really like this perfume, and I'm sad that it's discontinued. One of the things that I definitely say that I kind of regret when I started getting into fragrances is getting so many big bottles. Like I would get the largest size of every single bottle I could find. And this is one of the few bottles that I did not do that with. This is like the smaller one. And I kind of regret that because I would like to have a bigger one of this, please. And right now, it's pretty much impossible to find. You can find it on Mercari. That's about the only place I can find it on. So yeah, I'm sad about this one. I haven't tried the other Elizabeth Arden fragrances, but this seemed to be the most unique and interesting one, and I'm sad it's gone. So these next fragrances, I'm genuinely kind of disappointed that they were discontinued. And I would say I knew that these were discontinued, and they're relatively easy to get. Some of them might not be super easy, but when I heard about these perfumes, I knew they were getting discontinued or already discontinued. So I went and got a few of these specifically because I wanted to collect them and I wanted to try them out while I still could. So these are the Elizabeth and James Nirvana fragrances. If you know, you know. These fragrances were created by Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen. Now their fragrance or their brand is the Row. But before the Row, they had a line called Elizabeth and James Nirvana, and they came out with a whole bunch of fragrances. The ones I don't have would be Nirvana Bourbon, Nirvana White, and Nirvana Black. I don't have those, to be honest. I don't really care to go out and buy them because I don't want to fall in love with them and then be disappointed that I can't get them anymore. So I have these. I have Nirvana Amethyst, I have French Grey, and then I have Nirvana Rose. So yeah, let's get into French Grey. What's interesting about these is these perfumes have the notes listed on the box, and these are all the notes that were released. But this French Grey perfume has notes of musk, neroli, and lavender. It comes off smelling like a very like clean, crisp laundry smell. It's kind of like a clean girl perfume with like an edge of neroli. It's a strong neroli perfume. You have to appreciate neroli to appreciate this one. And I personally don't always care for neroli, so that's why this perfume is not a love for me. And by the way, if you don't know this about the Olsen twins, They are both, I think, huge smokers. So these perfumes are inspired by cigarette cases, which is so unique and special and so interesting. So if you get the perfumes and they're like the similar size, they kind of like end up being like little books next to each other. The only thing that I don't like about this packaging is the fact, and this is me being very particular, the lid comes off very easily. Some of them can come off more easily than others, but that's like my own my only like issue with it. But yeah, I think it's super unique and interesting that they did this. Nirvana Amethyst has notes of tobacco, honeysuckle, and cedar. This one I like more than French Grey, but it's still not a love for me. I'm going to get into the one I love in just a moment. It's just a sweet honeysuckle woody scent. The tobacco here is sweet, but not too sweet. I like it. So yeah, both of these are nice. But the one that I genuinely love, and I'm quite disappointed that this ended up getting discontinued because it's a very personal fragrance to me, and this is one of the few fragrances in this video that I went out and got a backup of once I knew that this fragrance was one that I loved. This is Nirvana Rose, and I fell in love with this fragrance at first sniff. It's one of my favorite rose fragrances of all time. This has notes of geranium, rose, and vetiver. This is the vetiver perfume that made me fall in love with vetiver. I quickly realized, however, after getting into this fragrance, that not all vetiver perfumes are created equal. Very important. But this essentially smells like a gothic rose. It smells so interesting and special, and I genuinely have like a very personal and positive scent memory association when it comes to this perfume because this was the fragrance that was my signature scent when I was in Paris. So something I try to do whenever I'm traveling is I try to pick a signature scent for a certain trip. I try to do that with like a signature scent. I try to have like a signature playlist associated with that so I can kind of like relive that trip whenever I have those experiences again. This was my signature scent the first time I ever went to Paris, and I smell it and I get a lot of nostalgia, good and bad. Good because this was a really eye-opening trip for me. I'd always wanted to go to Paris like my entire life, and finally as a young adult, I was able to make that trip with some friends, and it was truly a dream come true. I had wanted to go to Paris ever since I knew what Paris was. And being able to pay my own way and make that trip was truly amazing. It was truly spectacular. And I have worn this fragrance ever since. Like, whenever I go to Paris, I wear this perfume. I've only been twice, but this is my signature Paris fragrance. And I think the reason why it makes me like a little bit melancholy, and this is me being very personal about this, which is why I don't talk about this perfume very much, because I don't like getting this personal. But one of the reasons why this perfume is so nostalgic for me is because I smell it and I think of the girl that I was a few years ago. And part of growing up and maturing is having good and bad experiences that shape you. And this perfume reminds me of growing up, and it reminds me of maturing as a young adult, and it reminds me of having those trials and tribulations that then shape me into the person I am today. And part of that does make me feel a little bit emotional. And I do love this perfume so much, not only because of the way it smells, but also because of the way it makes me feel. And that's the power of fragrance. That's why I love perfume so much, is because perfume has such a significant way of making us feel, and this perfume is a representation of that. It's truly wonderful. If you want something that has like a similarity purely when it comes to the rose note, I would say try Replicas on a Date. Replicas on a Date still has like that aromatic touch with the rose, but Replicas on a Date is a lighter, brighter version of this fragrance. It doesn't have a lot of similarities beyond just the notes. This is a dark, deep interpretation of the notes. Replicas on a Date is light and bright, and it's still an aromatic rose, but it's still quite different, but it's in the same family. They're in the same family tree. They're not siblings. They're rather distant cousins, like very distant cousins. But if you want something similar, try Replicas on a Date. That's a really good one, but I just love this perfume. Yeah, this is so good. This is really, really good. I'm going to finish things off by talking about the top 3 fragrances that I'm genuinely upset that have been discontinued. Honestly, you can probably tell throughout this video, some of these fragrances, I'm kind of like, yes, I'm sad that they're discontinued, but I'm not like super upset about it. Others, I'm genuinely like, I'm not happy about it. But in general, disclaimer, let's just say that right here and now. Fragrances are just fragrances. Yes, we have attachments to certain things, but I try not to have too much of an attachment to any material objects, even though I am a collector, because at the end of the day, what matters is not the things you have, it's the memories you have and the experiences, right? So like if something gets discontinued, yes, it's sad, but it's not a bad thing. Like it happens, okay? Like it happens for a multitude of reasons. But these are the top 3 fragrances that I wish would come back, but unfortunately they're not coming back. And because of this, I don't think I'd really ever declutter these perfumes because like they are so amazing. First, I mean, obviously Nirvana Rose. This is one of the more personal perfumes to me and one of the most iconic. Um, Next, Aroma Mugler. This is so unique, so amazing. I also do have really positive scent memory associations with this fragrance as well. Um, yeah, in terms of like my scent memory, this is like the scent memory that I associate this with is going to Latin America for the first time. That was a really fun trip, and that's what I associate this with. And then, last but not least, I have Narciso by Narciso Rodriguez. I sprayed this on. Again, I'm refilming this portion of the video, so it's been about an hour and a half since I first sprayed this on. I can still smell wafts of it coming from my arm. I sprayed this on like twice. It is a potent perfume, and it's amazing, and I don't know why they discontinued it. If I was doing like a top favorite musts video of all time, this would be in there. This would be in there, and I think that's might be one of the reasons why I've never done like a top favorite musks video, because this would be in that, and I don't really feel like talking about a fragrance that's um, discontinued. I might still do a video like that and then just mention this as an honorary mention, but yeah, it's super unique, very special. Don't know why they discontinued it, but yeah, let me know. Is there anything in your collection that you treasure extra specially because it's discontinued? Are there any perfumes you wish you could try that you wish that would come back? I could probably do like another video entirely talking about fragrances that have been discontinued that I unfortunately never got to smell that I really would love to smell. I'm probably going to do that video at some point. But yeah, thank you very much. Let me know. Let's talk about fragrances, as we usually do in the comments. Let me know what are the discontinued gems that you treasure, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!